That's it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Good show, guys. Good show.
Good show.
Good stuff, AJ.
Yeah, Good try. Good stuff, Ryan. AJ, thank you.
Is that what you call opportunity right there? Is that what you call opportunity? Huh?
Hey,
Shut up!
calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down. I had every right to be the main event of WrestleMania.
Hey, you're going to be watching. Watch your hands right now. AJ, look at me.
Listen to me.
Look at me. Somebody get him out of here. Somebody get him out of here.
Hey, come on, AJ, you're the commissioner.
Come on, calm down.
How many?
Come on.
I'm sorry it didn't work out for you.
Let him go. Let him go. Jiminy Christmas. Somebody get him out of here. Hey, calm down. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. We just need to calm him down. Him, are you good?
No, I'm not really.
How do you react to that?
So being GM, and Shane gets this a lot, I get it a lot. People, when they come to the back and they're not successful, they tend to blame us.
Yeah.
Right? And things can get very heated. I'm very fortunate because by the time they get to talking smack, they've cooled down a little bit. But seeing AJ Styles come back there, he thought he was going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Turns out he's not. And that, you can see why he's angry.
Sure, of course. I mean, you can't blame him for feeling like he had that opportunity taken literally out of his hand.
Yeah, but it's weird, though, that he's taking it out on Shane because, so, for example, I was the one who was very much thinking, at the very least, Randy Orton needs his shot.
You were more pro Randy.
Yeah, Randy Orton needs his shot. And I was thinking either Randy gets a singles match or we do a triple threat match or AJ can get his shot at Bray Wyatt before WrestleMania, that sort of thing. But Shane was the big supporter of AJ. See, hey, he's jumped through all these hoops. AJ needs his shot at WrestleMania. And that's where we came to this compromise. So the fact that he's yelling at Shane.
And just for him to have that opportunity and to have that opportunity taken away is, I kind of have to understand where he comes from with that. It's tough.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, like we've been talking to Apollo and to Alexa, it's like as we're ramping up, getting closer to WrestleMania, and for him to not have that opportunity is...
Well, and, I understand because of AJ Styles' career, right? So I don't know how many years he's been wrestling. I got to imagine it's 17 years at this point.
Yeah.
He didn't enter WWE until last year at the Royal Rumble, so it was just a little over a year ago. But he's also, because he's been wrestling so long, you don't know how long this will last.
For sure.
Right? I wrestled for 10 years before I got to WWE and then was only here for 6.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't know how long the ride's going to last. And when you think that you've got that opportunity in the main event of WrestleMania and then it gets taken away from you, of course you're going to be angry.
Yeah.
You know?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 46 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good week. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thanks for being part of the family. I am the student of the game of professional wrestling, and my name is Joshua Lopez, and you can follow me on Twitter at Notorious Joshi. It's very fitting we're playing this song in the background today as my opening monologue, since we're coming off the 20-year anniversary of the unfortunate death of one of my idols, Christopher Wallace, who passed away March 9th, 1997. I was 3 years old at the time, and obviously over the years, getting to study his music and study his life story and watching the Notorious movie, Christopher Wallace, the man, and the good family man he was, and the friend he was, really inspired me as a person. I really look up to Big as a guy that, he hustled for what he got. He didn't take shit from anybody. Didn't have the greatest childhood ever. I'm sure a lot of you could relate to that. So could I. But at the same time, he made the most out of it. And for a guy his size, it didn't matter what his look was. He became the greatest rapper of all time. And I see a lot of myself in Big. I really do. I'll admit, despite being a good musician, I don't think I can hit the flows as perfectly as Big, but I get there sometimes. I'm not going to drop any bars for you guys, but I just wanted to say my thoughts are with Chris and his family, celebrating 20 years of his unfortunate death out in Cali after the Soul Train Awards, and it's unfortunate, man. He had so many great hits over the years, like the one you're listening to right now. This is Sky's the Limit from his final album, Life After Death. Some of the songs over the years that caught my eye, like One More Chance to Stay With Me remix, Warning, What's Beef, going back to Cali, obviously the other hits, More Money, More Problems, etc., etc. Of course, you can't forget about Juicy and Big Papa and Hypnotize. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way and share some of my thoughts on Big, since we're coming off the 20-year anniversary of his unfortunate death. But let's not bring out the somber mood. We're 19 days away from WrestleMania, and I'm telling you, man, if last night didn't sell you enough on WrestleMania, I don't know what else will. We got so much to get today, and I promised you guys that I'm finally going to let you know my thoughts on what's going on with the wacky world of Impact Wrestling. I can't even call it TNA anymore because Bruce Pritchard goes on the show last week and says, TNA is dead. So, hey, we're round 3 of, hey, we're a new company. Let's see how this works out. I got to give you my thoughts on the first episode of this new era of Impact. I got to talk about the fiasco that's going on with Reby Hardy and the company as well. There's a lot going on. I got to talk about Raw last night from Detroit, Michigan, the final WWE show at the Joe Louis Arena. And I got to talk about SmackDown tonight because you guys heard that at the beginning of the podcast, AJ Styles and Shane McMahon almost got the fisticuffs in the backstage area of last week's show. So got to talk about that. There's a lot of matches yet to be announced for WrestleMania that I'm pretty sure are going to be announced by tonight. But I'm so pumped, man. I am really, really, really pumped for WrestleMania, man. I can't tell you how excited I am for the opportunity that I'm just going to be down there to attend and watch this event live as it's going. You know, a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to cover WrestleMania 31 as part of the media. It's my first time doing it. It was a blast. I could add that to my resume. Nobody can take that away from me. A shy kid from Chicago got a chance to cover a WrestleMania at the age of 20. Who would have thunk it? You know what I mean? I've been doing this broadcasting stuff wrestling-wise for the past 4 years. Literally, yesterday, we did our first Pro Wrestling Experience WrestleMania preview show 4 years ago. I'm going to say yesterday. And it's crazy, man. It's bringing back a lot of memories 4 years later, and I'm having a blast, man. I feel like my writing's getting better. I feel like the podcasts are getting better. We get more and more support for the Pipe Out with McCool & Company, especially this show as well. And that's thanks to all of you guys. You know, I'm the guy here. I have my opinions. I'm trying to be the voice of reason when it comes to wrestling. I feel a lot of times we take wrestling for granted, and it's just very unfortunate that we lost the true concept of what being a fan is of professional wrestling. And at the end of the day, I'm still a fan. I'm not an expert. I never spent any time in the business, so I'm not going to insult your intelligence. But at the same time, I'm not going to make you agree with every little thing I say on the show because I don't agree with everything that's said on every wrestling podcast or on the Twitter thread during Monday Night Raw. You guys know the deal by now. But anyways, we got a lot to get into today. We got to talk about TNA, we got to talk about Raw, we got to talk about SmackDown, we got to talk about Mania. There's so much going on. I just want to throw some plugs out there really quick, and then we'll get into TNA and my rant towards that company. My bad, Impact Wrestling. So yeah, so there's not really much for me to plug. I'm not going to force you to spend money on me or anything like that. I'm not at that level yet. Still trying to get my name out there and try to improve my game as the weeks go on and the years goes by. Still young, so I'm not going to try to force upon money on you guys. However, all I ever ask for you guys is to spread a word about this podcast. It's that simple. All I ever ask for you guys is if you enjoy what I'm doing with this podcast and you want people to know what I'm doing, please spread a word about it on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. That would mean the world to me. That would make all this time putting into this podcast and et cetera, worth it. I appreciate all the support that I get from my play-by-play articles for the Zone of Wrestle. And I would just hope that this podcast continue to grow and grow as the months and the years go by. This is episode 46, and this particular podcast said we're 4 episodes away from 50. I started this podcast last year, after finishing the run of the Pro Wrestling Experience for 3 years. And I'm so blessed, man. So whatever you guys do, leave an honest review, rating, subscribe. Sometimes I'm not able to upload a show on iTunes as much as I want to, thanks to Podomatic and their stupid bandwidth limitations. But you can get every single Josh Lopez Wrestling podcast on YouTube, on my personal YouTube channel. Go over there, find a playlist, subscribe to the channel, like it, tell a friend about it. That's all I ever ask. And if you ever have any questions or anything you want to know as far as what I'm doing with my career in broadcasting or wrestling, you can follow me on Twitter at Notorious Joshi. It's that simple. You can contact me there. And I always have my always have links to this show pinned to the top of my Twitter page, like last week's episode. I thought it was one of the best ones I've done so far, and that one featured my thoughts about the Raw I got to attend to in Chicago last week. So, all right, enough bantering from me. I got my plugs out of the way. Notorious Joshi on Twitter. Spread a word about this podcast. Honest review on iTunes, YouTube, etc. I'm going to take a pause right here. We're going to play a little comments in a meeting that took place after last week's Impact Wrestling. Major news coming out of this particular meeting, and it surrounds the controversy that came out of the Alberto El Patron and Bobby Lashley TNA World Heavyweight Championship match. I'm going to play this clip for you guys. I'll give you my thoughts on that scenario, and then I'm going full knee-deep into this whole Hardys and TNA fiasco. Enjoy.
Look, first of all, appreciate you being here, okay? We thank you for that. Got something we need to address, okay? It's a little uncomfortable. However, due to the way that you won the championship last week, and we talked about it last week.
What do you mean the way I won the championship?
Alberto, let's just cut to the chase. We're asking you to relinquish the championship back to Bobby Lashley.
You guys have to be kidding me.
No.
Are you being serious? Are you okay with this, Dutch?
Fine with
After all these years? Really?
Alberto,
we have to have it.
We've seen.
We have to have it.
We've gone back. We've looked at it. We talked about it last week. It's the right thing to do. Let me ask you a question. How would your dad feel about that?
Hey. Don't bring my dad into this.
All I'm saying, what would your dad do? He would do the right thing. I'm asking you to think about it. I'm asking you to do the right thing.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I'll do it. Only if you promise me that I will have a rematch against Bobby Lashley.
Well, as much as I'd like to agree with your proposition, that's not up to us to answer. That's up to one guy. That's up to Bobby Lashley. We can't order him to put his title on the line. You can ask him. If he agrees, we're fine with it, right, guys?
Hey, it's up to Lashley. Feel free.
You want me to ask Lashley?
You have to ask Lashley.
Really? Okay. I'll ask Bobby. I'm going to do it the way Latins do it. I'm not going to ask him. I'm going to demand that rematch.
What it is.
That escalated quickly.
Alberto El Patron just relinquished his Impact World Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, coming off the shenanigans out of his match with Bobby Lashley last week. And there's this new committee in Impact. There's a new board of directors. We got Bruce Pritchard back in the company. We got Dutch Mantell back in the company. A lot of these former guys who are coming into Impact and trying to make Impact great again. I don't know if "Make Impact Great Again" is a good slogan, especially with how sensitive today's society is about that particular slogan. Make America Great Again. When you're in your last chance of trying to convince people to give a flying fig newt about your company, I don't think "Make Impact Great Again" is a good marketing tool. But hey, man, that's been the story of Impact Wrestling for the last 15 years. So what else is new? Look, what's the major things that people always knock TNA for, besides their overall inability to not promote their product in the most I don't know, not it's easy to say it's stupid because I'm sure there are talented and smart people there, but there's a lot of decisions over the years that's been made that's completely backfired and spit back in their face over the years. From Hulk Hogan joining the company and Impact dedicating the majority of their payroll to just his contract and Eric Bischoff's contract, to the 3 different networks in the span of 4 years, to not putting an emphasis on establishing what the TNA brand was instead of just trying to bring in guys that got released from the WWE. And then, a lot of people assume when a WWE wrestler leaves a company and they join a promotion, oh my God, we're going to get the Monday Night Wars back going again. It doesn't work in 2017. For me, I could tell from a mile away, it's just a bad business move when you bring in a guy that supposedly got buried and didn't get enough of a creative push during his time in WWE. For example, Aaron Rex, the former Damian Santa, right? Oh my God, Aaron Rex is going to have a new leash in license. He's in TNA now. The guy comes in. He's now this regular, serious character, even though he's still wearing the same pink trunks that he wore on Raw. And then he takes the time off, and then he's doing this Liberace character, and it's way worse than what Mizdow was. So, look, you need to establish your company for what it is and not try to capitalize on what the IWC monkholes feel are wrestlers that are really not going to move the needle for your company. Over the years, they brought so many former guys that used to work for the WWE, and it really hasn't done anything besides Kurt Angle. You had Christian there, you had Booker T there, you had Mick Foley, Kevin Nash, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. Now we have Alberto El Patron. And what do you do the first time he's there? He's automatically the champion. There was no build to it. Nothing. Oh, I'm here in Impact. Oh, hey, Bobby. It's like they treat the Impact title as a television title. I get it that Impact doesn't run monthly pay-per-views like the WWE, and that's perfectly fine. All I'm saying is that you have your company, and you've yet to establish your own brand of stars, and you only feel like you have to move the needle by bringing in a former WWE talent that wasn't pushed enough. It's ass backwards. Now, I gave my thoughts about that scenario. We'll see how that continues now that the title's relinquished. You got a new era in Impact Wrestling, and the first main event ends with shenanigans because 2 referees can't decide who's the actual winner of the match. That's Impact written all over it. And I'm not saying this just to be spiteful. I'm one of the few people that actually cover TNA and Impact in-depthly for the past 4 years. I've talked about it in the past about my issues, personal issues I've had with the company, with them trying to charge me money for interviews, but it's whatever, man. I take the time, I cover the company. Some people are like, oh, all you do is just talk about the WWE all the time. You're just a WWE guy. I spend most of my Thursday nights covering Impact, a show that feels like 4 hours, even though it's slotted for 2 hours on Pod TV every Thursday nights. with the worst set of commentators in the history of wrestling. And I'm not saying Jeremy Borash because he did a very good job last week, but as far as I'm concerned, Josh Matthews and the Pope could go home and stay the fuck home as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm moving on from that. Everybody knows how the deal goes down there at TNA, and it's just all over the place. Now, it's one thing to talk about overall issues with how they conduct business from an on-air standpoint, and then there's also a difference when people try to sue other former talents for just the most pettiest of reasons. So a lot of the big discussion in the wrestling media world was the outgoing rants that Rebby Hardy was doing against Impact Wrestling and Anthem Media. And I got the tweets to me, and I wanted to wait for this week to do it because I wanted to watch the first show and see how it went. They had some news over the weekend that LAX is returning to Impact, so I guess that'll be fine. I like Conan, I love his podcast, but I don't know if LAX is going to move the needle or whatever, but we'll see. But the talk of the Impact world wasn't even their show. It was this whole rant that Rebby Hardy did against the company over the weekend. So I'm going to read these tweets. If you're offended by vulgar language, I do apologize. Sometimes us Puerto Ricans have no filter. Sometimes F-bombs and stuff are just going to be blurred out there. So I'm going to read these tweets verbatim, and I'll give you my thoughts after, all right? So this is 4 days ago, so I'm expecting this is last Friday. She writes, LMAO, F you guys, Ed Norholm, Real Jeff Jarrett at Impact Wrestling. More than happy to play this game. Can we just talk about how many times Matt Hardy's contract could have been broken, pardon the pun, due to numerous issues on TNA end and never made a fuss about shit? But MNFers want to try and come at us now after the fact. Don't you have an Ultimo or some shit? Or, I don't know, a company to make great instead of acting like petty little bitches you are. Speaking of petty, nice video package on TNA's histories using air quotes there, with no visual or mention of Jeff, who gave his all for 7 years, or Kurt. But y'all sure made sure to get those 2 video ID shoots of Jeff Jarrett in there. But it's just business, brother, right? Petty. Everything these boys have done for the company, you want to try and F us for the sake of it. Literally no other reason except you mad. How about my husband leaving a day after giving birth to make your TV tapings? That's how dedicated this MNFer was to the company. How about how high the 3 highest rated TV segments of 2016 were financed by the Hardys solely to help the product because they believed in TNA? Or all the shit talking by JJ, a.k.a. Jeff Jarrett, throughout the contract negotiations, and Matt was still there, professional, and trying to make things work for 2017. Oh, and this is the best part. These MNFers trying to come at their Senior Benjamin, with quotes, my dad, by the way, who was never paid a dime by the company, who was obviously never under contract. Not that those contracts mean anything to TNA until after they're over, or until 3 days before they expire, apparently. Funny thing is, everyone who ever actually had anything to do with the broken Matt character has our back on this. What does that say to you? Damn near 20% of your roster leaving in a span of the week, all saying the same reasons or none at all. What does that tell you? And then the fake-ass wishing you well tweet from Ed Nordholm mere hours before threatening to sue us. Such a fitting end, man. Seriously, you couldn't write this shit well. TNA couldn't write this shit. Any writer's worth the shit left too. Real cute how TNA can go radio silent for weeks with the exception of nonsensical drunk text from Jeff Jarrett, but we get a 2-hour deadline to respond. F you think this is taking LOL blah 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 blah. Good luck explaining to your talent that their paychecks are late again because you're spending all your money suing the Hardys. And she wraps it off the first part about this saying, and fuck the owl. Alright, so here we go. Now this goes to the second part. There's so much I want to say, but I'll refrain out of respect for people who don't want their personal biz out in the mess for now. What I don't understand is why a company already fighting the uphill battle would make their own war path even steeper. Trust, I haven't had one person affected by this respond with, hey, maybe you should chill. I'm not the only one who feels this way. Only difference is that I have nothing to lose by putting it all out there. And the boys, yeah, they good, but they're going to be just fine. But don't come for hardworking, loyal dudes who have done nothing but right by you and throw out shady biz and accept silence because I don't give a fuck. Yeah, everyone else there can call it what they want, but I go hard for my family and what I believe is right. And even harder when something is wrong, and these MNFers are dead wrong for this. Not about the money, not about the gimmick, it's the principle. And then, here we go. The last part about this, she said, okay, I had to pop back on to LOL at Impact Wrestling blocking fans on Twitter. You know, you can't afford to lose anymore, right? So, this whole thing with her and her and Impact Wrestling and Jeff Jarrett's been going on for about a week or two since Matt and Jeff left the company. And look, it's not for me to say whether she should say what she has to say about that. I respect the fact that she's protecting her family. It's not for me to say whether she's right or wrong. All I can say this from the outside looking in is that I don't know why you would try to go out to sue an act, a couple of wrestlers who actually kept your company afloat while you're about to lose your third consecutive television deal for the last 4 years. That's the only thing I don't understand. What was the only thing people really cared about at the end of the day about Impact Wrestling in 2016 last year? Don't tell me it was EC3. Don't tell me it was Mike and Marina Bennett. Don't tell me it was Bobby Lashley. And please, for the love of God, don't tell me it was Eli Drake. Now, I have nothing against those talents, don't get me wrong. But what did people really, really care about Impact at the end of the day last year? Think about that. It was the Hardys. It always was the Hardys. To the point where WWE superstars were actually watching installments of the Final Deletion in a Japan tour. Like, I don't get where Jeff Jarrett and Impact is getting at this. Okay, I get it. You may disagree on certain numbers and stuff like that, but just because a business deal didn't work out doesn't mean you have to further the issue. Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, and the Hardy family kept Impact Wrestling afloat this past year, and nobody can deny that. Because if that wasn't the case, Impact wouldn't be around anymore. But we say that all the time. And I don't get what's going on with Jeff Jarrett. I really don't. Like, he changes the Impact logos to look exactly like Global Force Wrestling. There's rumors about Impact going back to Spike TV. I mean, was this all a roundabout way to just change Impact's name to Global Force Wrestling? I don't get it. I really don't. And it's unfortunate, man, because you always hear constant BS and drama with Impact, no matter what time of the year it is. People are upset at this person. There's issues with creative. Guys and production people are not getting paid in time. It's just a total clusterfuck, man. Like, seriously. This is not something that's new. This has been going on for almost 5 years. 5 years of not paying your talents on time or production people that take time away from their families to put on that product that you don't really care about at the end of the day. It's BS, man. It's unfortunate. I always say if, especially when you're like part of a team or part of a company, I think it's better to handle those issues on your own accord and not internet and social media, but hey, Remy Hardy's a grown woman. She can do what she wants. I talked about this on the Sports Drive. When people like LeBron James go on a hissy fit saying, I need this, I need that, people are not going to have sympathy for you. You're the most highly paid athlete in the NBA and probably in sports right now, and you're bitching and moaning in January that you need more players when you're supposedly the greatest player on earth. You know what I mean? And making over a wazoo of money. I have no sympathy for that. And then you have the slogan, make Impact great again. Make Impact great again. The matches are fine. The storylines are fine. Some things are a little weird and all over the place, but it's always this outside nonsense and BS that always drags this company down, and it's just getting old. It's like the dog that won't die. It's like the little pest that just never goes away. There's always somebody there trying to poke the bear to keep this thing going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, and it's not changing anything. You could bring Don West back. You could bring back all these former acts from the original Impact or TNA days from the Asylum years, and it's not going to make a difference. It's unfortunate because there's good, talented people there. I talk about this a lot in the podcast. Jeremy Borash is somebody I look up to in this business. You know, the guy got his opportunity doing the old WCW radio show when WCW was around, and that's how he got his in with the TNA. And the guy is super talented, and he was a major cog of what was going on with the Hardy stuff last year. And I feel bad for JB, and I get how loyal he is to the company, and he's a really, really cool guy. And I hope I get the opportunity to interview him sometime in the future. But I honestly feel his talents are being wasted. I get he has a lot of outside projects with Robert Irvine. He does stuff for the Stern Show, etc., etc., etc. But from a wrestling point of view, from a wrestling business point of view, I feel that Jeremy Borash's talent is being misused. Jeremy Borash should be producing television for either NXT or SmackDown. It's just that simple. And he's stuck having to do commentary with a guy who's more of a douchebag than a freaking substitute teacher from high school. A guy that he said it perfectly on Impact last week. Josh Matthews looks like a Ken doll, like the Ken doll from Barbie brand, with no balls. That's what he looks like. I don't get it, man. I really don't, man. It's unfortunate. I love some of the talent there from Impact. I'm happy that Bruce Pritchard is back on TV. I'm a big fan of his. But all this outside nonsense it's getting old. And it's like, where do you get to the point where people are apathetic? You got 300,000 people watching Impact this every week on television. And I'm not a guy about race. You guys know that. But holy fucking shit, man. Like, come on. You know, I wanted to come on here, give this first new show a chance, see something a little different. The only enjoyable parts that I had from covering Impact last week was the constant jabs that Jeremy Borash gave to Josh Matthews. And then what happens the first night on Impact? Oh, Alberto El Patron, another former WWE guy, comes in and is automatically the champion just like that. Just oh, hey, you're the new guy here. Here you go. Just like nothing. I don't get it, man. I just don't. It's just not good business at the end of the day, in my opinion. So that's my opinion on that. I did want to spend some time and dedicate some time to TNA because I know some people get some restless sometimes. Oh, all you talk about is WWE. Well, it's 19 days away from WrestleMania. I'd rather spend time on something that I actually enjoy covering week in, week out. I get more enjoyment covering an hour of 205 Live each week than freaking 2 hours of Impact every Thursday. It's a freaking chore. That's what it is. It's ridiculous. So, it's whatever, man. you guys want to give my thoughts on what's going on with Impact for someone who actually covers this show each week? There you have it. We're going to take a pause here. We're going to transition into my thoughts about last night's Monday Night Raw from the Joe and the Joe Louis Arena. We had a major surprise. We had WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels come out and share some advice to Roman Reigns. It was a very, very interesting segment.
As you just saw on the replays, I'm not messing around tonight. So, Undertaker, come out here like a man.
He's here. That's Mr. WrestleMania.
Roman, I'm not going to waste your time, my man, and I'll cut right to the chase. Look, I saw what happened between you and The Undertaker last week, and I definitely saw a few minutes ago what happened. All right, that gong went off and you got distracted. My friend, I've got news for you. You are distracted and you are unfocused. And you need to understand something, all right? This far out of WrestleMania, and he's already set up shop in that head of yours. Come WrestleMania, my friend, he is going to eat you alive.
Well, I got news for you folks. It's not happening. And that's the problem here. This is the only question I ever get. What's it going to be like for you to be in the ring with The Undertaker? Maybe The Undertaker should be thinking about what it's going to be like to be in the ring with me.
I'm on your side, man. I will acknowledge you are the big dog. This is your yard. But how about you acknowledge that I am Mr. Wrestle-Frickin-Mania? And try to understand, all right? I know what it's like to walk around with that huge chip on your shoulder. I know what it's like to walk around with the weight and the pressure of this company on your shoulders. And I know what it's like to have everybody secretly, even though they don't want to talk about it, secretly hoping that you're going to fail. Believe me, Roman, I have walked in your shoes. You need to understand something, man. I'm not out here to get confrontational with you. I'm on your side.
With all due respect, The Undertaker retired you. And I'm the guy that's going to retire him.
And despite the advice offered by the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn... Oh, wait. What? Braun Strowman just blindsided Roman Reigns.
If I wanted to do it to you, I would.
Strowman bulldozed Roman Reigns. Remember, this is what Strowman wanted last week. He wanted to finish what he started at Fastlane.
Strowman may very well just finish Roman Reigns.
We got 2 more Raws before WrestleMania 33, and honestly, there's nothing else left from either Raw or SmackDown that I need to be sold on. Like, really, I'm, like, ready to go for WrestleMania, man. With so many guys back on the roster, especially with what happened last year, with the injuries and stuff, I'm just so pumped for WrestleMania, man. It's going to be a freaking blast. I can't wait. There's so many matches on the card that I'm really pumped to cover. So we got, this is what's confirmed so far. We got Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We got Goldberg versus Brock for the Universal Championship. They announced yesterday that Roman Reigns is going to take on The Undertaker. Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha are fighting each other for the Raw Women's Championship. Gallows and Anderson found a way to interrupt and destroy the tag team number 1 contenders match last night. So now that's a 3-way. You got Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro. You have, I'm hoping, it's Triple H and Seth Rollins, especially with what happened yesterday. the way to close out the show. I'll get to that in a couple of minutes, but let me just say this, man. I'm really, really pumped for WrestleMania. I can't understate how excited I am to be there in person, even though the Camping World Stadium or Orlando Citrus Bowl is an absolute, complete, and utter dump. It is what it is. I'm really pumped, man. There's nothing else that needs to be sold, man. I'm just waiting for it to come here. You know, I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to leave Chicago. I'm ready just to watch this show live and get this stuff ready to rock and roll. He had the show start off with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman does what he does. I had an interesting conversation today on the Facebook group chat that I have with the good brother Justin Hill, which you can follow me at I am Justin Hill. And we had a conversation of what should go last at WrestleMania. And I wanted to read you guys some of the comments that I shared on there because I think it's something you guys should take note while you're contemplating what's going to close out this show this year. And just add some context of why Goldberg and Brock, it's not that bad of an idea to close out WrestleMania. And this is a hot take I've been waiting to share for a while because it's something I do actually feel. Not every WrestleMania has to have a main event that goes for 30, 45 minutes. I don't believe that's the case, and I think last year's match with Roman Reigns and Triple H went too long, and I watched the back match, and there was a lot of good parts of it that I enjoyed. It didn't help that The Rock's cousin, no, my bad, Roman Reigns' cousin, The Rock was out there for like an hour, just extending out the show for absolutely no reason. But look, what I really noticed about this Goldberg and Brock feud is that it's really a way of old school promoting. And it's something that I've actually enjoyed, and it's something that's went over people's head. This has had a very old school feel to it, where you're not having the full completed product of what Brock and Goldberg are going to be in their final stage of this rivalry. You had the shock of the world when Goldberg beat Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. You had the question of could Goldberg follow that up with the Royal Rumble? That happened. And now the Universal title's on the line. So the question is, this is the first year the Universal title will be defended at WrestleMania this year. Now we have the new era. We got the brand split back. If you asked me if I had to figure out what's going through Vince McMahon's mind as far as what should close out the show, trust me, I understand, and I do agree the WWE Championship is way more prestigious than the Universal title. I am not stupid. I completely understand that. Just speaking from an overall business standpoint, Goldberg and Brock are the marquee attraction match for this year's WrestleMania, whether you like it or not. It's been confirmed for a while. It's been something that's been brewing since the fall. And I'm pretty sure they already got posters and banners around the downtown Orlando area with posters of Brock versus Goldberg at WrestleMania. It's just simple business. Brock and Goldberg should close out WrestleMania. Now, as far as, do I think they need to close out WrestleMania or not? I really don't care. There's so many matches on the show that I'm looking forward to, so I'm going to have a good time in watching this WrestleMania no matter what match closes out the show. I feel like Brock and Goldberg are going to come into this match and try to prove some people wrong. I don't think it's going to be 30 seconds. Now, I could be wrong. I think this match has the opportunity to go 10 minutes. And here's the thing. In wrestling, less is more. I do agree, less is more. I don't think Brock and Goldberg need to put on a 25-minute barn burner classic in order to appease people. I get it. Wrestle Kingdom does 45-minute main events every single year, but that's their style, and I'm not going to begrudge them for that. But this is WrestleMania. You already got a show that's going to be 4 hours long for just a regular show, and then for the people that's in there for the pre-show, it's going to be a long night, but I think it's going to be a night that's worthwhile. And whether Goldberg or Brock closes out the show or not, that doesn't really matter to me. Like I said, I feel they have the opportunity to surprise the people. And you got to think about this with the entrances, and then maybe somebody stalls during the match or something like that. You got to wonder if the match would probably be like 20 minutes or something if you count entrance time and et cetera, et cetera. But if you have to ask me bell to bell, how long do I think Goldberg and Brock are going to go this year for Mania? I'd probably say 13 minutes. Now, some of you may think I'm high, maybe I'm delusional and blah, 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 but that's how I feel. I think they will extend it out. This had an old school feel. You've been wanting more out of it, right? That's what everybody's talking about on these shows. The conversation is, will Brock and Goldberg go more than a minute? Or 2 minutes? Or 3 minutes? That's the conversation. So I really think that's the case. I don't think they're going to do a 30-minute Broadway or 45-minute Broadway. And I don't think people would want a 30, 45-minute Broadway. But either way, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen at WrestleMania. And we'll see what happens with that match. I think Goldberg's going to be back this week on Raw, and then the following one for the go-home show. Brock will probably be there too. I gotta give props to Brock a little bit because you guys know that there's times where I'm indifferent to the guy, but he's actually been to every single Raw on this road to WrestleMania, and I gotta give him credit for that. I know a lot of people won't, but I'll do it. I really like this segment between Shawn Michaels and Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman came out and just laid them out. So it looks like they're going to have the conclusion of that rivalry between Roman and Braun on Raw on Monday. You're also going to get the highlight reel, which is coming back, which is always an entertaining segment. Chris Jericho said that he's going to reveal the real Kevin Owens, which is going to be pretty funny. And then he's doing the backstage interview yesterday with Mike Rum, who's one of the new backstage announcers or interviewers. He he does the interview, and then Chris Jericho's saying that he's Tom Phillips, right? And Mike Rum's like, no, my name is Mike. Chris Jericho's like, I know who Tom Phillips looked like, and you look like Tom Phillips. And then he's like, you know what happens when you insult the intelligence of Chris Jericho? You know what happens? You just made the list. So you got Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, that's confirmed for WrestleMania. That match alone, that's going to be freaking awesome. Tonight, there's a big fatal 5-way match on 205 Live, with the winner getting the opportunity to face Neville at WrestleMania. So you guys can check out my coverage of 205 Live tonight for WrestleZone.com. That's another piece of Raw as Austin Aries made his in-ring Raw debut. You also had the epic, and I mean epic, conclusion of Raw last night with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Mick Foley, and Seth Rollins. If you guys haven't seen the segment, go out of your way to find it on YouTube or the WWE YouTube channel or whatever, or if you have it on your DVR, find your way to watch the entire segment for what it was, because that was just pure and utter gold. And I'm truly, truly hoping that Seth Rollins and Triple H actually do have a match at WrestleMania. You don't release new T-shirts and have this guy continue to come out like that, selling the whole knee thing with the crutch, if the match is not going to happen. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into the marketing of WrestleMania, and I'm sure they got billboards of, hey, Seth Rollins versus Triple H. Well, we have to see what happens. We have to see what happens, and I'm truly hoping that this match does happen, and I hope it's not something where, we're just going to do a little brawl here, and then there it is. I think we are going to have a match between Triple H and Seth Rollins, especially with the way Raw closed last night. So that's my thoughts on the show. I thought it was decent. A good show from a good crowd in Detroit. Their final show that they're having at the Joe Louis Arena before they go to Little Caesars Arena. I can't believe that's an actual arena name, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to take another quick pause here. This will be our last pause for the podcast. We're going to play a clip from Talking Smack last week where The Miz runs down his impression of John Cena, which is really, really funny. I'm going to play that clip. I'm going to give you my preview for tonight's SmackDown, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. So here's The Miz on last week's Talking Smack.
Let's talk about last week on SmackDown Live. He claimed that I steal my personality from people. I steal moves. I steal this. I steal that. I don't know who I am. But you can make that claim about anybody, any superstar. I can do it about John Cena right now. You know, when John Cena first came to WWE, he stole his personality from every white kid with a identity crisis in the 90s. He was a cross between Marky Mark and Vanilla Ice. But wait, there's more. The attitude adjustment used to be called the Death Valley Driver, but John Cena stole it from Tommy Dreamer. John Cena would steal a move from someone? But wait, there's more. He stole his girlfriend from Dolph Ziggler. What? No, not our hero, John Cena. He wouldn't do that. But wait, there's more. He stole his last T-shirt design from a beer company. But you know what? We applaud Cena. We love Cena because John Cena is that good old guy. But the fact is, he takes shots at me. That match that he created with that mixed tag match, he did it because of me. You know it, and I know it. He is jealous of my relationship. He is jealous of all the talent that I possess. And you look at me, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, come on, Miz. It's John Cena. But that's the problem. Everyone just looks at John Cena in the backstage and in the audience and just go, it's John Cena. He can do what he wants. Like during the draft. I mean, John Cena probably called you up and said, listen, Daniel Bryan, I'm probably not going to be around for 6 months. But listen, I want you to draft me to SmackDown Live, and I don't want to be number one. Make me like around number 3, because number 1, I'd have to be there every day, but I'm not going to be there because I'm going to be the part-timer that I am. So don't worry about me, because I'm sick of it. I am so sick of it, Daniel, and you know it.
This particular storyline with Miz, Maurice, Nikki Bella, and John Cena is another example of why you need to let feuds play out without assuming things. This is going to be one of the most anticipated matches on the WrestleMania card this year. I'm saying it. You can throw your arrows at me. You can say, oh, this is going to be a waste for John and Miz. I'm telling you right now, very few matches are going to have the emotional investment that this match is going to bring at this particular pay-per-view. The Miz has been on absolute fire recently on the microphone and telling a story into his matches. And his matches have been pretty good as well. I am so pumped for this match. I can't wait for it. And who knows if it's actually really going to be a mixed tag match. If it is, I mean, cool. It is what it is. If you guys really need to check out that full part of Talking Smack where Miz and Maurice were making fun of John Cena and Nikki Bella, because I thought that was very interesting. And I would like to see a little bit more response from John Cena this week, and I'm pretty sure that will happen. Speaking of responding, I mean, how does Shane McMahon react to what happened last week with AJ going into the gorilla position and literally trying to go do the fisticuffs? All over this weird over-the-top thing with Randy deciding that he wants to burn out Bray Wyatt's kingdom and his shack in order to get his match at WrestleMania. There's a lot going on there, man. I don't know if it's going to be a thing where Shane picks an opponent to represent him against AJ at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to be AJ just against Shane. Either way, man, like I really want to see how Shane responds to that, and I would hope it's actually at the beginning of the show. Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose are, I guess, slated to go against each other at WrestleMania for the IC title, and I want to see a little bit more out of this. I did like the backstage brawl last week. I thought it was very, very good, and I think that Baron Corbin and Ambrose could do some good stuff. And if it was up to me, I would actually have these guys start off the show. I would. This is one of the matches I'm looking forward for the SmackDown brand. I saw some people are like, oh, SmackDown's kind of getting the shift for the Raw brand at WrestleMania as far as marquee matches. Now, I get it. You got Raw having Goldberg and Brock, and you have Roman versus Taker, and you possibly got Seth versus Triple H, and Jericho versus Owens. But I don't think it's anything to scoff at for the SmackDown side. The fact that they had this John Cena Miz angle. You got AJ with what he's going to do at Mania. You have the SmackDown women possibly having their big melee of a match, which I hope the Boo Mickie James wins that match, by the way. Bias fully intended. And I would hope as well that you have American Alpha versus Usos. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they pissed somebody off backstage, but I need to know why the Usos and American Alpha are on 1 week of SmackDown, and then they take 2 weeks off, and then you have the random American Alpha appearance on Talking Smack. I don't get what the problem is. This is a match that people have been wanting to see since the brand split started. Let's get this bad boy going. The Usos are kind of good promos. I don't get what the problem is. So I truly hope that either the Usos or American Alpha are on the show tonight. I'm covering SmackDown tonight, as always, for WrestleZone.com. And we had the clocks changed now, and you got the light out. It's like 5:30 here in Chicago as I'm recording this, and the show's about to start soon. And I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen on SmackDown tonight. I really am. It should be an interesting show. I want to see how they respond to what happened on Raw last night, because I know a lot of people are going to choose Raw over SmackDown this week. I'm looking forward to how they respond, man. This could be a big week for them. I want to see what's going to happen with Luke Harper. Will we have more entrants announced for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? The show's in Pittsburgh, so usually they get some type of surprises sometimes there. Pittsburgh's a good wrestling town. And you got making of an interesting show tonight. SmackDown Live has always been a fun show to cover. I stated this a lot, that SmackDown was a way better overall show than Raw before the brand split. It had absolutely nothing to do with how long their shows are. It's just a better overall show. And I'm looking forward to see how SmackDown responds, and I think they'll do fine as well. So I don't know if they have any legends involved or included into that SmackDown Women's Title match for Alexa Bliss. You got to see a little bit more stuff with Cena and Miz. And, 19 days away, folks. 19 days away from WrestleMania. What matches are you looking forward to at WrestleMania? That's the question I want to ask you, the listener. What, no, not a listener, a friend, not a fan, a friend. Here's my question to you, friends. What match are you looking forward to the most at WrestleMania this year, and why? What undercard match are you looking forward to the most, and why? And also another question that I'll ask for you guys, and I'll give you, I'll shout you guys out with your responses as the weeks go by. What is the most underrated WrestleMania match in history? That's my question for you, the loyal supporter of this particular podcast. What's the most underrated WrestleMania match in history? I'll give you all shout-outs. If you respond, you can respond at Twitter at Notorious Shashi. I'll promote that as the weekend goes by. I'm not going to be on the Pipe Bomb with Nicole and Company this week. I got some other stuff that I got to attend to and some business I got to handle. But make sure to support their show as always. Pipe Bomb with Nicole and Company on the New Age Insiders Network. And that's pretty much it, man. That's the wrap for this week's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A couple things. Make sure to like this particular video on my YouTube channel because I do air the audio of this podcast on YouTube on my personal YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and you'll find it. Just go to the search engine and type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and you'll find it on YouTube. You get that playlist, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend about it, spread a word about it on social media. I'll be posting it on my personal Twitter page, which you can follow me at Twitter at Notorious Joshi. You can also follow me on Instagram at Notorious Joshi as well. I'd love to get some honest feedback for you guys. As always, thank you for the support. Check out my play-by-play pieces for WrestleZone.com. And that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for the support. I'm going to be in Orlando for WrestleMania this year. I'm heading down on Thursday, March 30th. I'm going to be there from Thursday to Tuesday. And I hope I can get to meet some of you fine men and women down there and get to talk shop and talk about wrestling. Because WrestleMania is here. It's the biggest time of the year for a wrestling fan. This is my Christmas, and it actually looks like Christmas outside here in Chicago because we've been getting hit with a bunch of snowstorms. So I want to give my thoughts out there for the good people out there in the East Coast that are dealing with the winter storms as well. So I hope you guys are being safe out there as well. So thank you guys for the support as always. I love you guys, and we'll be back here to talk about Raw Brooklyn and WrestleMania is continuing to take shape, man. We're on the road to episode 50 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I might do 2 episodes next week. I'll keep you guys updated as the weeks go by. I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you know. But either way, thank you guys so much for supporting this particular podcast. And I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. And remember, folks, the sky's the limit. Rest in peace, BIG.